Our daughter Ruby is now 1 week old. So, how do I feel as a new dad? What are the struggles? What has been working? What hasn't been working? Here's a self reflection of my first week being a new dad. So, Ruby was supposed to be due on July 29th. 2 days prior, or three, we went to a doctor visit, and then they monitored her heart and they couldn't pick it up. So it would show like the line and then kind of like drop off and then come back in, drop off, come back in. And then also borderline, my wife did have one reading of borderline high blood pressure. So they're like, okay, you know what? Time to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital. They're like, just go to the hospital. They have better equipment for them to monitor the baby's heart, make sure she's okay. We got there. They monitored her. Her blood pressure was okay. They also couldn't find her heart. It would read and then it would drop off and it'll come back. Drop off and come back. So because of those two, then they admitted her and then they're like, yeah, you know what? It's time to have the baby. She got to come out. She's full term at that point. It was 38, 39 weeks. The whole thing when she was giving labor and I was kind of just looking at her, holding her hand, and she started to push and I was just looking at her chest. And I'm like, in a few minutes, seconds, there's going to be a whole baby just sitting on top of her. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I don't know where, just, Sure enough, that happened. I was holding her hand. Okay, you got this, you got this. She was pushing when the contractions were starting. Looked down there because I wanted to see. Nothing. Looked back that way, looked at her, make sure she was doing good. Pushed, and I looked back, and then the baby's head was out. That's how quick it happened, and I was like, oh my god. Then pulled the baby out, and then just slapped it on top of her. They showed me the placenta, which I thought was pretty cool. The placenta was actually pretty big. It was almost as big as her, which is why I think they couldn't really monitor her heart because it was actually in front of the baby. And they're like, oh, do you want to see it? Do you want to touch it? I'm like, yeah. So I grabbed it and I touched it. It felt like kind of like a rough, spongy, but plasticky, elastic thing. Weird. And then they opened it where they kind of popped her water and they're like, oh, look. And then they stretched it out and they're like, look, she was in here. This is the womb, basically. I was like, oh my God. Pretty cool. I don't know. I like seeing stuff like that. We did stay 3 days at the hospital, so that bill is gonna be pretty hefty. I'll probably make a video on that, on how much it costs to have a baby. Seeing her for the first time, honestly, I think because she was a planned baby and it wasn't like a mistake or like she got pregnant. Like, oh my god, now here we are. We have to have the baby. I was ready to be a dad, so yes. Even though when I did see her, I was still like, whoa, there's a baby now. I don't know. It's really weird, and I find myself that every day I'll just look at her, and it'll kind of hit me in like little waves. I'm like, there's a whole baby in the house. Like, how do we go from like nothing to like now there's a baby? Now we have like stroller, we have all this stuff, we have baby stuff everywhere. So how I feel as a dad, really, not to touch too much on it, but I don't understand how people cannot want to be a part of their kid's life. Just be there for them, give them everything they want and need and stuff. So I just feel like, as a dad, it comes second nature or first nature now, to just kind of like pick her up and like burp her and feed her and like change her diaper and like just be there. I don't know. It's really weird because now it's like it's a part of me, and like I see myself in her, but then I also don't know who she looks like. A lot of people say that she looks like me. Even my wife says she looks like me. So what were the challenges with now having a baby? First week. A lot of the challenges first few days was sleeping. It was brutal. I think within 3 days, I've had 10 hours of sleep in the beginning, and it was just rough, especially when you're in the hospital. They kept us there for 2 days after she delivered. So I remember the second day we had moved to another, where the mother and their babies are, no longer in waiting to deliver. So we were there, and she would fall asleep. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go to sleep too. I was in the couch. She would randomly just burst out yelling or like crying, right? And like, oh my god, like what? Like finally falling into sleep, and she cries. We feed her, we change her. She goes back to sleep. We go back to sleep, and now doctors come in, nurses come in, and now we wake up again. I'm like, every time I'd wake up, I just see like, oh, when did you get in here? Why are you here? So it was really rough, especially in the hospital, trying to sleep. Coming home now, within a few days, up to now, I think she's been getting up 2 to 3, maybe 4 times a night. And a lot of it is we got into a system of sleeping and changing. I'll change her diaper, and then after I change her diaper, we change her, and now it's feeding time, and there we go. Usually they'll fall back asleep, but now lately she's been staying awake longer. So the lack of sleep was a big thing, but now I feel like we're kind of slowly coming back into like a rhythm, getting back to normal, and like, we have our alarms to wake up and feed her, which is nice. And then she's pretty good and she goes back to sleep. Another like challenging thing that you go through is being a support system, not just for the baby, but being a support system for your wife as well. Because, they go through a postpartum phase, and, their bodies are basically destroyed trying to heal, close up, and do what they got to do. On top of that, they could go through postpartum depression. So now, they see their bodies and they're like, man, I don't look a certain way. I don't look how I want to look. And that really takes an emotional toll on them. And then, so you got that, and then you got a baby that's crying every time they're hungry or they got poop or change their diaper. So it's rough as a dad being there for two people at the same time. Although my wife, you could say, is the same. She's there for the baby and myself at the same time. But I do find it more difficult for her because she's physically going through things and changes that I'm not. Me, that's more of like mental, and yeah, sleeping could be a physical aspect of it. But for the most part, for guys, it's just going to be a mental thing and just to adapt to the baby. Another challenge we had, which I didn't even know this was a thing. So after she was born I think with 6 pounds and 14 ounces. A few days later, she lost about half a pound. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So it was difficult because, since my wife is breastfeeding, you have to have the milk come in, and that takes some time. So that she might not be feeding as much as she normally does. So then we kind of got a little scared. My wife started started pumping her milk, and now she has a little supply of milk. So now we actually do bottle and milk. But now, actually, my daughter doesn't really like the breast anymore because she works so hard for it to get a few drops as opposed to having a full bottle already. I'm just kind of there. So that's been a challenge with the whole breastfeeding for her and the pumping. More importantly, we went back to the doctor, and now she's back up. I think she gained about 0.4 ounces. So pretty good. She's healthy. Another thing that we had with Ruby, still have, is jaundice. So it's kind of like yellowing in the skin, and actually the eyes, if they're not really white, they'll be kind of brownish or like tan yellowish. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on? So I looked it up, and it just turns out there's it could be a lot of factors. So under eating, it could be a big thing that I saw was the liver. It wasn't really fully developed, so it's not really processing things how they should process. Today she woke up, her eyes are a little more white. She doesn't have that much yellow anymore, but you did notice it, especially when we're giving her a shower. You can notice all on the side of her face she did have yellow. So a lot of challenges for sure. A lot of adjusting, a lot of adapting, getting used to things, and it just feels like you're just honestly the whole time is like, if I have time for myself, I'll just be there like kind of anticipating, like her getting up, feeding her, changing her diaper, having to help her. So it just feels like I'm always on standby. But with the challenges, we found a lot of things that helped us and really made an impact on making this whole process much easier. One of the things was a Kia Baby wrap. I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. We got it as a gift from one of my wife's friends. It's actually a wrap. You wrap it around you, and then you get to put the baby inside, so she's nice and tight and snuggled in, and it looks like it replicates her being inside the womb, so it creates that warmth and that kind of like small, compact space, and that really knocks her out. And I love that thing. I love it because it also allows me to like be on my computer, play my game, or do whatever I gotta do, because it frees up your hands because she's just attached to your body. So it's a really, really nice thing. If you want to look at that, I will link it down below if you want to check that out. Another thing that really helped us is the swing. So we have a swing that you can turn on and it swings on its own. It isn't a flat surface, but it kind of keeps that kind of curve in the little body. So it makes her feel a little more, how do I say this, a little more like kind of condensed. So that swing she really likes as well. Sometimes sleeps for a couple hours on there till I take her out because I do want her to be on a flat surface for the most part. It has music, it can vibrate, it's not battery operated, so you actually plug it into a wall, which is nice. So you don't have to worry about plugging it in. Last but not least, one that I do want to bring up is the floor mat. This floor mat right here is actually really, it's cushioned, and it's supposed to be for like babies, toddlers if they fall. Not only that, I really love this because when she falls asleep, I can put her on the floor in that mat, and I'm not worried about her falling off of anywhere, or hitting herself with anything. It's just a huge mat, and honestly, sometimes we fall asleep with her on that mat. All these items will be linked down below in the description if you want to check them out. There's a whole bunch of other things that really helped us, such as breast pumping, bottle warmer, changing stations. There's a lot. I'll probably do a video of top 10 things that helped us with this newborn phase, pregnancy, all that stuff. So make sure you subscribe so you can catch that video. That really wraps up my week. And the best we can do is just take it day by day. And I am not in a rush. I'm enjoying these days, even though they're rough and I lose my sleep. I'm not eating consistently. I eat on her schedule, sleep on her schedule. I know this newborn phase is going to go by pretty fast, and eventually I'm going to miss it. So I'm just going to enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and like, and let me know what has worked for you guys, or if you guys are about to be new parents. See you guys in the next video.